What is going on, guys? It is Jack, aka Mr. Wolfie, and today we've got a different type of commentary type video. I just wanted to have a talk about something I was thinking about recently, and I thought you guys might be interested in listening along. It was actually something I was talking to my friend about, but again, I think this is quite a cool idea, and it's probably been discussed a million times before, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it today. It is, of course, the idea of a massive online Pokemon game. Now, I know there are online Pokemon games that are already out there. I mean, the footage on screen right now that you guys are watching is from PokeMMO, which is a free-to-play online game that you can traverse Fire Red and all of the regions from Kanto and Hoenn, and play with your friends and trade with your friends and all this sort of good stuff. But what I'm kind of interested in talking about is more of almost like a third-person Skyrim type deal, but obviously Pokemon related. So you would ideally create your character, just like you would in Skyrim, but then instead of going out into the world and exploring and finding things like bears and bandits, you would actually come across Pokemon. Now, I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but it's something I've always kind of had in the back of my mind, and I always thought, why have Nintendo never really tapped into this as, you know, the publishers of Pokemon and who own the rights to Pokemon? Especially with sort of the recent success of games like Pokemon Go, and I think Pokemon Go has probably been successful for a number of reasons, but mostly it's on mobile devices and it was free to play, so a lot of people had access to it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think a new Pokemon game that is online and third person and explorable would be as successful as Pokemon Go. It would be quite hard to achieve those heights, but it's obvious that there is still at least some interest in Pokemon here in 2017. But yeah, why have Nintendo never teamed up with a AAA type game developer and made a massive sort of open world explorable game, do you know, like The Witcher 3, like Skyrim, in which the world is filled with Pokemon, and you can start out with your starter in the region of your choosing, and you just go out and explore and progress through the gyms and things like that. To me, it is like a pot of gold that Nintendo are refusing to tap into. I think Nintendo seem to be more prone to releasing games on their own devices, so like the 3DS and their, you know, all these kind of small kind of gaming platforms. But I always think that it could be so successful if they made a massive online game that was compatible with, you know, like Steam on your computer, or I don't know how Pokemon would work with a controller, but even Sony and Microsoft, I think it would be hugely successful, and I kind of wish they would maybe consider stepping outside of their comfort zone, because they could make a game that is really successful and could be really good fun to play, I think. So if we look at, again, like games like Skyrim, it doesn't have to necessarily be online. I just think the potential for an online Pokemon game, again, that is third person and, you know, enhanced graphics and all the full nine, I think that has so much more potential to start off the sort of, you know, you watch Pokemon as a young kid, or at least I did, and I grew up playing the Pokemon games, and it would be cool for people to be able to explore that for themselves and actually sort of taste that experience by playing through a new game that has all the sort of modern technology built into it, where it runs really smoothly, it has all the connectivity of being able to play with your friends, and you could just go out and explore and do whatever you wanted, you know. You don't have to necessarily play through the story of doing the gyms and the badges in the Pokemon League. You could just do whatever you wanted, like a lot of people do in MMOs. So you could, like fishing, you could do the beauty contests, I would imagine there would be like Team Rocket missions. You could just be a collector, just roaming around trying to trade and find all of the sort of exotic rare Pokemon. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, but why do they refuse to sort of look into this a bit further? I think it could be a really cool idea. So yeah, I don't expect Nintendo to be actually making anything like this anytime soon. They might be, and I'm just missing it like a complete fuzzbag, and if so, then I apologise. But I think if Nintendo and Microsoft were to swing around at E3 and reveal that they were doing a collaboration where they were making a proper next-gen Pokemon game, and they drop, like, you know, it doesn't even have to be a huge trailer, but if they dropped like a cinematic that was 2.5, 3 minutes long, I think people would go absolutely nuts for it. And again, my judgment could be faulty, but I think that it would be interesting to play, and I know that a lot of my friends would be interested in playing it. It would steal the show at E3, I think. It would be up there along the highlights and the headlines, and they would make an absolute killing, in my opinion. Now, I've talked about it being an online sort of game, you know, just like a massive MMO, because I thought, as I said before, there was potential there for there to be so many successful sort of opportunities. But I also think that it could be a really exciting standalone game as well. Again, talking about Skyrim, it is not online, and yet it has a huge following. The Elder Scrolls game in general have a huge following, and like I've played a bunch of them myself, and I can get absorbed into the likes of Oblivion, Skyrim, even Fallout, do you know, and again The Witcher 3. These games are all single players, massive open explorable worlds, but they're still hugely successful. I think Pokemon could definitely have a market there, and I think that a lot of people would be interested in that. Now, if they were to make it an MMO, I know there would be problems. For example, I think that there would be an issue with the age gap, you know, because you would have people who are like really young kids coming from like modern day Pokemon games that play it on their DS and whatnot. And then you'd also have the people who played it when they were younger, like myself, who are, you know, grown up a bit now and are adult. And I think it would be weird trying to balance those kind of players, because you might have people being, you know, doing general things that people do in MMOs, you know, they're not always appropriate and whatnot, just like swearing and things like that. So I think it'd be weird balancing the Pokemon age gap, so maybe that's one reason they haven't touched on it. But also, there would be a trade-off between the world size and how good the game looks, right? So if they make it amazing looking graphics, they have to spend more time and costs developing it, a lot more manpower needs to go in and resources, and so maybe the game wouldn't be as big. But in my opinion, when they make these sort of MMO games, the bigger the better. You know, if there's more content for you to explore, you get more money's worth and things like that. But there would be a balance between what you sort of see on screen and how smoothly the game runs. Speaking of which, I think the game, any sort of MMO Pokemon game, would probably take a while to develop, as do any MMOs, because there's all the sort of coding and infrastructure that goes into it, and that can't be a simple process at all. So a game like this would probably take a long time to make, and I guess that's kind of a downside as well. Maybe they are making something behind the scenes right now and they're just not quite ready to announce it, but I think that would be kind of, you know, interesting. And again, obviously an online Pokemon game might be laggy and shit like that, all the normal things that you expect, or yeah, all the sort of normal things that you experience with any MMO when you first begin and the servers are crashing and things like that. There's all these sort of downsides, but these would probably get smoothed out towards the beginning of its release, and so I don't think they are necessarily huge problems. They would just be like beginning problems, if that makes sense, but things that they would have to overcome in the beginning of the game's life cycle. But anyway guys, I don't want to talk about this for too long. I know I'm blabbering absolute nonsense, but this was something I was thinking about because I'm an ass clown that way, and I just thought that you guys might be interested. What do you think? Would you play a online Pokemon game? I know you guys are all hardcore, or a lot of you guys are hardcore Digimon fanatics, and maybe you hate the guts of Pokemon, whatever. But if you're like me, I don't mind, I don't judge. I'm not a gaming racist. I will play anything that I think is going to be fun, especially games I can play with my friends. But anyways, if you've made it to the end of this video guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. You guys are the best. Leave me a comment, leave me a rating. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. We've got a lot more shit content coming your way, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching guys, peace out and have a great day.